Hi everybody, and welcome back to my channel. I just want to give everybody an update on my project, the Lighthouse project. I've done a lot of planning and research, but as with any project this size, there are major challenges. But before I give you an update, I just want to give you a brief recap of my project and its goals for those of you that don't know yet. So this is how this project was born. I was chilling one day with my son Jeff, and I was going through some of my lighthouse images, and I started chatting with him about it, and we were just chatting, casually about lighthouses and why I enjoy photographing them and so on. And so a thought came to me, I wonder how many lighthouses there are in South Africa, and what if I could photograph all of them, every single lighthouse in South Africa. So I started thinking, we were chatting, well, how many are there? How long would it take? And how much would it cost? And I thought, well, I'd love to do it, and I'd love to do it solo. And so I did some research, and I discovered there are 52 lighthouses, active lighthouses in South Africa. And so I thought, well, perfect. One lighthouse per week. So it's a 1-year project, a 1-year journey, a 1-year adventure. It appealed to me tremendously, tremendously. I fell in love with this project. I thought, boy, I'm going to do this. So this was how the idea was born for the Lighthouse project, under my pseudonym Stevie Lighthouse. Yes, that's me. That's one of my nicknames. I've got a few. My other nickname is Dingeni Boss. I'll tell you about that one day over a beer in a fireplace or something like that. Some of my students call me Stevie G, Mr. G. So I've got a few pseudonyms, alter egos or nicknames. Stevie Lighthouse is one of them. It was given to me actually by an ex-girlfriend, lovely woman, beautiful soul. And anyway, so I started doing podcasts under the pseudonym Stevie Lighthouse, and just things that interest me. I'm having a lot of fun. I'm not taking myself too seriously, but just having fun, talking about topics that interest me, like what does it mean to walk in the light? Do we walk in the light? Are we enlightened beings? Are we illuminated souls? What about you? Are you walking in the light? Are you walking in the darkness? I used to walk in the darkness, that is for sure. My young wild days, absolutely. I used to think I was a man of the world, and yeah, but that was some time ago. So some of the other topics I discuss on my podcast is, what does it mean to be an empath? What does it mean to deal with your shadow side? What is shadow work? Etc., etc., etc. But getting back to the Lighthouse project, it's a multifaceted project. One facet is to photograph all 52 lighthouses along the west and east coast of South Africa. I'll probably go up into Namibia as well. While I'm up there, may as well. To do this in 1 year and to make a documentary of it, as well as a book and an exhibition. This is the plan, this is the aim, this is the goal, this is the vision. But after a while, I don't know how this came to me, but another thought came to me: what if I share my life story with young adults, especially for those dealing with addiction and depression? So another facet of this project emerged, and that is to highlight the addiction and depression crisis within the South African youth, which is very close to my heart. So I want to ask you, if you haven't already, please have a look at my website or my social media for all the info, all the information about this project, specifically this project's goals and its aims. So far, a few high schools in my area have invited me for speaking engagements. Boland College was one in Caledon, the Caledon campus, and Parvale in Somerset West. I had such a good time, I tell you, chatting with these young high school adults, these kids. They're asking very, very intelligent questions. These kids, during these talks, well, look, I have decided to make myself vulnerable, to share your life story, warts and all. It takes a bit of something. It's quite emotional. You got to make yourself vulnerable, and well, I made that decision. So I share my life story, my battle with the demons of addiction and depression, which I've had to fight, most of my life. I try my very best to impart hope to these young adults. And I think it's working. I've had very, very good feedback so far. I've got a good rapport with young adults. I've been teaching photography for the last 25 years, and mostly young adults. So I have a very, very good rapport with young adults. And, I've brought up my children and my grandson. And so, I get... I managed to get through to young adults, I think, and they tend to open up to me, which is it's wonderful. I love young adults. So anyway, I'm hoping more schools will contact me. But here is the setback and the challenge. Let me explain what happened with my major investor who believed in my project and bought into my vision. I don't want to make her name public right now, but she's a lovely woman, a beautiful soul, who I respect immensely, and I have complete trust in her. We get on very, very well, and she was actually the very first person I spoke to about this project. Very smart woman, a scientist doing research on the treatment of depression and addiction with psilocybin. There's quite a few articles about her in various magazines, and she's spoken all over the world on this particular subject. So she suggested I actually call my journey Shed the Light. I've since sort of just adjusted it to now calling it just Be the Light. Encouraging people, young adults, everywhere I go to be the light. I'm not saying I am now the light or the brightest light. Sometimes my light is quite dim, I've got to tell you, and then I've got to dig deep and pray, I meditate in my spiritual journey, and treat people right, and you got to guard your light, but that's a whole topic for another discussion. Anyway, during the planning stages of this project, we had a meeting where she said to me that she would invest 1 million into my project. I mean, that 1 million, I was like, oh man, this is it, this project's going ahead. But on condition that I include shooting a documentary of the Khoisan on my journey up the west coast of South Africa into Namibia. The condition is that I shoot the Khoisan and their use of natural medicine, particularly in the treatment of addiction and depression. So she explained to me that she was promised 7 million rands for her continued research into the use of psilocybin, magic mushroom, psilocybin, to treat addiction and depression. And out of that 7 million, she was willing to invest 1 million in my project. However, unfortunately, that has not materialized. She informed me a little while back, that's why I've been a bit quiet. It's taken me a few months to come on here, give an update. I've been thinking, what do I do? How do I keep this project on track? Anyway, that it didn't come through on her side, so obviously it's not going to come through on my side. So I was gutted. That 1 million rand was to be used to purchase a suitable camper van, everything, food, accommodation, a film crew for certain parts of my journey, and so on. Yeah, so I mean, that was a setback, and it's a huge challenge. But as the old adage goes, everything happens for reasons, and and so I will continue now to teach photography at Studio 7 next year in 2024, which of course I'm very happy to do. That's what I love to do. But I will also in 2024 continue to raise funds for my journey with the aim of departing only in January 2025. Yes, guys, it's a big dream. What do they say about dreams? If it's not big enough, it's go big or go home. Or if it doesn't scare you, it's not big enough. There's all those old cliches about a dream. This is a dream. It's a big dream. It's my dream, and it's a massive dream. I understand that. It takes a lot of faith, but not just faith. It's going to need action to go along with that faith and a lot of money. So if you look at the cost of this project in dollars or pounds or euros, it's not very expensive. It's only $45,000, people. Only $45,000. Imagine if everybody pays $1. 1 million people can pay $1. Oh well, that'll be $1 million. That's much more than I need. I only need $45,000. $1 million bucks. $1 million bucks. 1 million people pay R1 each. I got $1 million bucks. Look, so far I've raised just over 5,000 Rand, which is nothing, through crowdfunding. I mean, you know, people have crowdfunded movies. Movies that cost millions of rands have been crowdfunded. There is a crowdfunding organization called GoFundMe, but it's not available in South Africa. The next best one I found was backabuddy. So I registered with backabuddy. And so far through backabuddy, I've raised 5,000 Rand. And you know, backabuddy, you've got to motivate your project. You can't just register for any old thing. They give you a certain list of questions you have to answer, statements, bank records, etc., etc., etc. So it's very, very legit, and they take, they take it seriously. Thank you very, very much to all those who have already contributed. I really appreciate you. Thank you so much. I'd like to ask, it's an appeal now to everybody, wherever you're watching this video, if you don't mind sharing it for me, if you don't mind liking it and sharing it, and so that I can get, this project going again. I'd like to ask you if can anybody help me sponsor this project in any way, in terms of food, fuel, accommodation, not just financial assistance. Do you have any contacts in the media who may be interested to give this project exposure and traction? Do you have any contacts who think will identify with my vision and be willing to sponsor this project in any way? If you would like to contact me or contribute to this project in any way, you can find, I'll put all the links and my contact details in the description below. All right, now I think the last thing I'd like to end off with is to just explain to all of you my concern for young adults. I mean, I've been doing some research into this. I don't know if you know, there's a shocking data on 5-year-olds being addicted to pornography in South Africa. It's absolutely shocking, and it has the capacity to decimate a whole generation, because addiction to pornography at such a young age leads to many other things. Please go and look at my website where I discuss it in detail. Go look at one of my podcasts that I call Just a Little Bit of Porn. Go and have a look at that, because it's too much to unpack right now. But within our youth, South African youth, I think it's global, but let's just talk about the South African youth. There's so many are suffering from depression, addiction. There are suicides now on a much more regular basis than before the lockdowns. Here in the Helderberg Basin where I live this year, there's been about 2 or 3 already. And the year hasn't ended yet. So our young adults, they're precious, guys. They're our future. They're under threat from pornography, as I've said, from drugs, from alcohol, gender dysphoria. That's big right now. Gender dysphoria, just all of a sudden in the last couple of years. It's very strange. I've got some ideas about why this is happening. Once again, it's too much to unpack right now over here. But many are questioning their gender. All of a sudden, just in the last couple of years, more so, much more so than usual in the past. There's climate change fears. Our young kids have, they've got to deal with that as well. That anxiety about climate change and the world ending in 2030, things like that, that some are pushing. the political and social climate in the world, or even in South Africa, is in such a state of flux that sometimes even seems detached from reality itself. You know, many of our kids are not only addicted and depressed and suicidal, but also totally confused by society itself. That's what I think the source of depression and addiction a lot of times. You know, besides domestic violence, etc., etc., there are many reasons. But one of the reasons is this in society that seems to be totally detached from reality, where you have men wanting to get pregnant and breastfeed. You've got biological men and women's sports, and so much more madness. I mean, there were lockdowns in South Africa. We've got load shedding. Unemployment is sky high. The cost of food is criminal. There's corruption in our government. There are wars all over the world. Do you think for one moment that these things are not affecting our kids, that they are not affecting our children? So, guys, sorry to start getting a bit passionate when I start talking about what is affecting our kids and our children. They are our future, man, really. I know it sounds so glib, but it's so true. How many of you have children and grandchildren? Do you think about their future? What are we going to leave them, this generation, this current generation that's in power? What are we going to leave our children? A mess? Confusion? No, guys. So to end off, our youth need a lot of understanding and guidance. And if you would like me to speak at your school or your church or any other venue, big or small groups, I don't mind. Small groups, 5, 10, 15, I don't mind. Big groups, a few hundred, I really don't mind. You're welcome to contact me. You can find all my contact details in the description below. Alright guys, so this is just an update and an appeal for assistance, and I'd be so grateful if you could take the time to watch this video and go and check out my website and help me make this dream come true. Thank you very much.